It's September 2026 and Dawn of War 4 is released. Finally. And the most important thing, Relic is out. If you're thinking, wait, isn't that their series? Yeah, it was for 20 years. 2004 Part 1, a direct hit, a few add-ons, a sequel, all was good. No wonder people started dealing burnt CDs in the schoolyard. Forget what I said. Then 2017, Dawn of War 3, when somebody at Relic sat down and thought, what if Warhammer 40k was a little more MOBA? I mean, what could possibly go wrong, you might ask? Well, let's say Soulstorm, an add-on from 2008, ended up with more players than the sequel from 2017, and Relic sadly had to pull the plug. Expansions were cut without replacement, among them the teased Necron faction, buried before they could rise, which for Necrons is quite an achievement. And it felt like they wanted Dawn of War 3 to just vanish into the vault completely, like, you know, we don't talk about this one. Honestly, that one wasn't bad luck, that was bad design decisions. Interesting news, however, for every fan of the series, Dawn of War 4 now comes from King Art, the people behind Iron Harvest, and even the publisher changes, THQ, then Sega, now Deep Silver. The studio that botched the series does not get to fix it this time, let's give someone else a shot. Seriously, the expectations are high, and right up front, base building is back, and according to Deep Silver, it leans heavily on the first game, so you can build again, research, upgrade, unlock units, you know, all we loved to do back then. Also, we're heading back to Kronus, roughly 200 years after Dark Crusade. We are getting 4 factions at launch this time, Space Marines, Orks, the Adeptus Mechanicus making their debut, and even the Necrons get to play from the start, no waiting on a DLC this time. Better still, each of these factions get its own campaign, over 70 missions to play spread across all 4 sides. Well, if that doesn't sound like RTS heaven, I don't know, plenty to keep you busy. Multiplayer is included, and looking at the roadmap, and they are getting ambitious too. The Crusade mode arrives later, a mission editor is planned, updates for Last Stand, a story prologue for the Blood Ravens, and even a 5th faction in the works. And this is the point where I should start voicing my concerns. With things like roadmaps, season content, and it's all coming later, I'm usually having seriously bad feelings and my wallet starts to hide somewhere. I immediately think of microtransactions, endless battle passes, and every other way of trying to pull money out of my pocket. Seriously, this is the last thing I want, RTS games with microtransactions. Deep Silver, however, has confirmed they want to keep it classic, meaning they are aiming for paid expansions instead of permanent monetization. Honestly, my jaw hit the floor, as with this approach, I feel dragged back to the early 2000s when games hadn't yet started squeezing every last euro out of me. There's one point though that genuinely annoys me. I know for you it's probably not a big deal. Dawn of War 4 has English voiceover only. German or any other language gets subtitles, nothing more. The bad joke about it, the studio sits in Bremen, not too far from me. The publisher is German, the franchise had German voice actors over 20 years ago, and today apparently it only stretches to subtitles. It's a thing I see more and more in the industry, and it's sad. So if Deep Silver is listening and by any chance watching this video, maybe, please reconsider. My other worry is, however, the studio. Nothing against King Art. However, King Art has never made a Warhammer game, and while Iron Harvest was genuinely good in my opinion, but in size maybe a tad smaller, Dawn of War 4 is huge. It is full of lore and full of a fan base that will dissect every single irregularity within the story. What they are promising, 4 campaigns, 70 missions, 1 new faction to come, this is honestly the biggest pitch this series has seen in a very long time. I want this to be great, and I'm crossing my fingers for King Art to deliver. At least from the footage, it already looks nice. And if the game is anywhere near to what they showed already, that one is going to be a huge achievement for them. It's going to be great. So in the end, Dawn of War 4 is an enormously ambitious project. Classic gameplay, classic marketing, classic roadmap, not the usual felt like a scam that modern games try to pull today. The footage from the trailers simply look great. The sound of war feels like music in my ears. Personally, I can hardly wait to get my hands on Dawn of War 4 at some point. And since Gamescom is next month, with Deep Silver almost certainly there and the release only 3 weeks later, there's definitely more coming. You know, when it does, we'll take a look at it together. Yeah, not much to complain about today. For once, I'm full of hope and waiting for more. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time.